Having recently made several videos about famous granite formations like El Capitan and Half Dome in Yosemite, Enchanted Rock in Texas, and Looking Glass Rock in North Carolina, it made me wonder, why are so many famous cliffs made of granite? Are there other famous cliffs out there made of different rock? Well, the short answer is yes. Turns out the world's greatest cliffs couldn't be more different. And in this video, I've compiled what I think are the 5 most iconic cliffs on Earth. So how did I decide what makes a cliff iconic? Well, I could have gone by height, sheer verticality, climbing difficulty, but no. I'm a geologist, so I ranked these cliffs by geological diversity. One was once magma deep beneath Earth's surface, another were thick sand dune deposits, and another was built by tiny microorganisms. So while this list might not be the same for everyone, I think these are 5 of Earth's most iconic cliffs. We'll start with number 5 and count down to number 1. We begin in southern Utah. The towering cliffs of Zion National Park rise more than 2,000 feet or 600 meters above the canyon floor. It's hard to believe that around 190 million years ago, during the Jurassic period, these were enormous sand dunes, some hundreds of meters tall, in one of the largest deserts to ever exist in North America. Over time, new dunes buried older dunes, those dunes were buried by even younger sediment, and groundwater flowing through the sand deposited minerals between the grains, slowly cementing the loose sand into rock that we now call the Navajo sandstone. Over 100 million years later, around 70 million years ago, the entire Colorado Plateau began to rise in the mountain building event associated with the formation of the Rocky Mountains. Once elevated, rivers cut downward, carving deep canyons and exposing these massive sandstone walls. Those beautiful sweeping curves and cross-bedded layers you see in Zion's cliffs today are the preserved cross-sections of ancient sand dunes. Number 4 on our list of cliffs honestly doesn't look natural. Rising dramatically above the Wyoming plains, Devil's Tower looks like someone stacked thousands of perfectly shaped stone columns side by side. But it wasn't humans that made this structure, it was geology. Unlike Zion, Devil's Tower wasn't formed from sediment at all. It began as magma forced its way upward beneath Earth's surface. Exactly what happened next is still debated among geologists. Some think it represents the hardened core or volcanic neck of an ancient volcano, while others argue it was a shallow magma intrusion that never actually erupted. Either way, the magma cooled slowly underground around 40 million years ago. And as it cooled, it shrank. Just like drying mud cracks into polygon patterns, the cooling rock fractured into remarkable hexagon columns through a process known as columnar jointing. Over millions of years, the softer sedimentary rocks surrounding the intrusion eroded away, gradually exposing the resistant igneous rock that now towers nearly 900 feet or around 265 meters above the surrounding landscape. It's one of the best examples of how erosion can create landscapes not by building something new, but removing everything else. And fun fact, before doing the research for this video, I kind of just assumed that Devil's Tower was made of basalt because columnar jointing is really common in basalt, but I didn't think much about the fact that it formed underground, and then I thought about it and I was like, oh yeah, basalt doesn't form underground, it forms at the surface from lava. So actually, Devil's Tower, turns out, is a phonolite porphyry instead of basalt. So anyway, fun fact. And now we arrive at number 3, possibly the most famous rock climbing cliff on this list. El Capitan rises more than 3,000 feet or 900 meters above Yosemite Valley as one of the largest exposed granite faces anywhere in the world. And after my recent visit, I did post a video all about Yosemite's geology and how it came to be, so check that out at the link below for more details. But the gist is, around 100 million years ago, during the age of dinosaurs, enormous bodies of magma slowly cooled several kilometers beneath the surface. Because the magma cooled so slowly, large crystals of quartz, feldspar, and mica had time to grow, producing coarse-grained granite that now makes up most of Yosemite today. Eventually, millions of years of uplift and erosion stripped away all the overlying rock, exposing what had once been Earth's deep interior. And this is a similar process to what formed the other granite uplifts I've covered as well, like Enchanted Rock in Texas and Looking Glass Rock in North Carolina. But it's what happened after this uplift that caused El Capitan to become such a spectacular cliff. It all started with the Ice Age. Around 2.6 million years ago, glaciers began to advance down into the Yosemite region on and off cyclically. Massive glaciers scraped, polished, and carried away weaker rock while leaving behind enormous, nearly vertical granite walls as they repeatedly flowed through Yosemite Valley. But if El Capitan represents the deep interior of Earth, number 2 represents almost the opposite, a shallow, warm, tropical sea. The breathtaking Dolomites in northern Italy, with their dramatic towers and sharp cliffs, began as tropical reefs over 230 million years ago. During the Triassic period, this region was submerged beneath the warm, shallow waters of the Tethys Ocean, where reefs built by corals, sponges, mollusks, brachiopods, algae, and countless other marine organisms accumulated layer upon layer of carbonate sediments, which eventually formed limestone. After burial, magnesium-rich fluids flowed through the limestone, replacing much of the calcium with magnesium to form the rock called dolostone, which is primarily made up of the mineral dolomite. Over 100 million years later, when Africa collided with Europe, these dolomitized ancient reefs were lifted thousands of meters during the formation of the Alps. And fun fact, geologists still don't fully understand how exactly the Dolomites became dolomite. I mean, they have a pretty good idea of how it happened, but explaining why ancient dolostone is so abundant while very little forms today is one of sedimentary geology's greatest unsolved mysteries, known as the dolomite problem, which I might make a future video about if you're interested, so let me know in the comments below if you'd watch that. And finally, on to number 1, and perhaps the most unexpected cliff on this list. It's not made of granite, sandstone, or ancient reefs, but it is one of my favorite rocks. And I actually made a whole video about it a while back because I still can't believe that this rock is actually a rock. I mean, for the majority of Earth's history, like 4.4 billion years, it didn't even exist. It had to be invented, and not by humans, by the tiniest organisms. Number 1 is the White Cliffs of Dover. These cliffs are made of chalk. Between around 170 million years ago, much of Europe was covered by a warm, shallow sea filled with microscopic algae called coccolithophores. Now, coccolithophores still exist today, and each one of these tiny organisms builds delicate plates of calcium carbonate around itself, and when they die, those plates slowly settle to the sea floor. They evolved over 200 million years ago, but their heyday, per se, was between around 170 million years ago, which marked a dramatic increase in their abundance pretty much everywhere there were shallow seas, including the shallow sea that covered Europe. Over tens of millions of years, trillions of these microscopic skeletons accumulated into hundreds of meters of soft white sediment that was eventually compressed into chalk. Now, compositionally, chalk is calcium carbonate, so the same as limestone. But the reason chalk is a whole different rock is because of its physical characteristics. Because chalk is the accumulation of these microbial organisms, it's extremely fine-grained and, well, chalky compared to much harder and denser limestone. Anyway, long after all this chalk was deposited, uplift exposed it above sea level, and waves from the English Channel began attacking the base of the cliffs, and as those waves undercut the chalk, enormous sections periodically collapse, causing the cliffs to slowly retreat inland. All that is to say, this iconic coastline was built by the dead bodies of microscopic plankton that came together to form a rock that didn't exist before they evolved. I mean, I know some people will judge my ranking of these cliffs as number 1 on this list, but as a biogeochemist who just is obsessed with the way microbes influence geology, I couldn't not put them at number 1. So anyway, that is my list of the top 5 most iconic cliffs on Earth, although it was really hard not to mention places like Troll Wall in Norway, Mount Roraima in Venezuela, Verdun Gorge in France, Fitzroy in Patagonia, or the amazing basalt sea cliffs of Iceland. So let me know down below if you think I missed any or what cliffs you think deserve to be in a ranking, and maybe I'll make a part 2. Bye!